Yes, welcome to this tutorial again. And in this tutorial, we are going to discuss variables. What are variables in Python? And I believe this is going to be the last video you will ever watch to understand what a variable is. I'm going to keep everything in a very simple way and explain in the simplest English possible just to give you an idea of what a variable is. And by the end of this tutorial, you will understand a variable of which you will never ever again watch or find or try even to understand anything about the variables. So variables are user defined. It is you to give them a special name, whatever thing that you want to name your variable to be. So they are user defined, which means it is you to define them and give them whatever name it is. And also you have to understand that variable are but there are some rules that we need to follow when we need to name our variable. The Python give us anything that we have to name it whatever name we want, except few things that we need to follow. The first thing is that the variable should not be, or you should not initiate a variable, or the first letter should not be a number like 1, 2, 3 or something, which is it is not accepted. The secondly, they should not start with the characters, special characters. So, which means it's only underscore is allowed. So this is what we have understand. A special character are not allowed except underscore, and they should not start with a number. I'm going to demonstrate this one in the real programming shortly. Just this is an idea of what it is, and the program will give you more explanation, and you can make you to understand, and you can even test it on your own PC there. And variable are containers for storing a data values, which mean that we use them to store a data value. For example, let me just let me initiate a variable called name. So now we have initiated a variable here. It is called name, and now we need to assign a value to it. I'm going to assign a value of an integer type to it. For example, I'm going to assign my name Perino Garang. Now our program is well written. Now you can see here we have assigned a variable here called name. It is not a must to be a name. You can name it whatever you want. It should be name, or in every language, in Chinese. You try just write it in whatever thing that you decided it should be, as long as it is you giving it. In this case, because I'm giving my name, I just name it to be a name. And I've assigned a value here called Perino Garang, which is my name. Now this Perino Garang, this name, will be stored in this name, which means this character or a string characters here should be stored in this name. So which means the name variable here should hold the data values of a string Perino Garang. Now if I am to run the code, nothing will be printed on the screen. I hope we know what the print statement does before. So in order to print a statement on the screen, we have to come down and we have to print it here. We have to use the print statement. As we know, print is used for printing something on the screen. Then we have to use a parenthesis. And as before, when we want just to print a text directly to the screen, that's where we will go and print our text here. It could be anything. But in this case, because we are dealing with a value that with a variable, and the variable is hosting some of the value that we have instantiated or we have initiated or we have assigned to this name. So we just need to put the name keyword, the name variable, which means the variable itself, we have to put it inside the print statement so that it can print something on the screen. So now you can see here, we are not printing Perino Garang directly. We first created it as a string of characters, and then we assign it to a variable, which is name, and therefore we are printing it from the name. And if I am to print here, you can see my name is printed, Perino Garang. Now here, I think you have understood properly what it does. We have created a variable called name, and this variable is hosting Perino Garang. Leave alone Perino Garang. It can be anything. Just what you need to do, you need to create a variable, whatever you can name it, and then you have to assign something it using an assignment operator equal, and then the value that you want to assign to this variable. And now if you want to print the value that you have assigned to the variable, you have to call the variable name because the variable name is holding those values and therefore it can be printed. Now we have understand here it will print Perino Garang. What if we want to put some other, if we want to put some other like some other statement before the name is printed? I hope you have an idea before of what it is, how to do it, but in this case, I will come also and tell you how to do it later. But now this is the whole idea of how you can create a variable and you can assign a data type to it, of which a data values of an integer value. Now, I'm going to put a comment here because we understand what a comment is before to make it very clear and to make our code explainable. I'm saying that a string data values is assigned to name to name variable is assigned to name variable. And if we print it here, those comments will not be printed on the screen because yes, we are making our code be very clear so that if someone read it, they can understand that the str, which stand for string, which means it is this name. You will come to understand this part. You don't have to worry. But now that is how we can assign a data values to a variable. It should not necessarily to be named. I can even name it to be Perino. I can even name this value to be Perino. Just make sure within the print statement, the same variable should be passed on here. And if I am to print it, everything should work well. It is not mandatory that it should be a specific thing, but I use a meaningful variable to make my code understandable and easy for me even to read it. Now we have understand now how we can assign a string. We can also assign a data type of a number, like let me say a number here. Now this one, Python will automatically treat it as an integer value because we are assigning a number, a real number. So if to print it on the screen, we just have to use the print statement and we have to pass the num keyword or the num variable inside the print statement. And if we print, the file should be printed on the screen. I hope now you have understand and you have an idea of what it is. And we can also use like something called true. And if we are to print it, we will encounter an error because I have used a small t. But if I use a capital T, then it should be a valid boolean. And if I am to print it, it should print 0 or 1, or it should just print for you true directly. Because this is a boolean type, but for now, don't focus on this boolean, but we can assign anything else, such as a number. Remember, if you are assigning a real number, they should not be in a quotation mark. They should just be assigned so that the Python should understand and declare them as an integer. But what if we put it in a quotation mark and we print it? It will still print 5. It will still print 5, and but this 5 is a string. It is not a real 5. It is just a string. So a string can be of any data type. But to make it a real number, we have to remove the string. And if we are to print it again, you will see here we have 5. Uh, so uh, uh, this is all info about a variable. And please, I'm going to also cover it with one thing which is very important, and they should also work hand in hand. We can also check the data type. So that's why we can also use the word type to check a data type of our values that we have assigned to the variable. For example, we have assigned 5, and if we print 5 here, you can see it will just print for us 5. And if we want to know which data type it is, we can just use again the same print statement for printing on the screen, and we have to use the keyword type. So you can see here we use the keyword type, which is for checking the type of this one, and then we have to use another parenthesis, and then we need to pass the variable there. That is it. We have to use the print statement. We have to make a parenthesis. We have to declare the types, keywords, and then inside this type we have to pass. Just make sure the num variable in this type should be passed to the parentheses that belong to the type. And if we are to print it here, you will see it will say it belongs to the class of integer, which means this 5 belong to class of integer. So which means it is of integer data type. What if I make it to be something like my name here, Perino Garang? Just let me change the value, and then I have to print again. It should show us it belongs to a string, which is an str. And also here, if I make it to true, it should also change and tell you the data type it belongs to a boolean, which is a bool. So we can just use so this is that's it all about a variable. We can use the variable, and we have to assign a value to this variable, such as my name, Perino Garang, and then we have to print it on the screen by using the print statement and parentheses, and inside this parenthesis we need to pass the variable name without any quotations. Just let me say that, okay, what if we had to pass the variable name inside the print statement, and we have to put a num here? If I am to print it, it will just print for me a num on the screen, because we are directly printing it on the screen using a quotation mark. So everything that will be under double quote or within the double quote will just be printed direct on the screen as it is declared. So to differentiate it or to make it known, because that Python, to differentiate it, you have to assign or you have to declare or to call the variable inside the print statement without any quotations mark, and therefore it should work. And any data type that you have assigned to that variable should automatically be printed on the screen. I hope this lecture is so helpful. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like it, and also recommend it to your friend. And in the next lecture, we will continue on this variable.